Hey guys, it's AJMS here. What's up? I am a little happy today. I'm gonna be babysitting for this one of the families that I absolutely love, and I haven't seen them in so long, and I love their kids, so I'm super excited. They love me, so I'm just like, I did makeup today because I was so excited, and then I went a little extra. But I don't know, I think it's cute. What do you guys think? You think it's cute? Now this is the wig that I bought from Amazon. I named her Nina. I don't know if that's kind of weird because I actually know or knew a Nina. Is that weird? Nina, if you're watching this, I love you. But I am super excited, and I'm like, when I normally get like this dressed up, it's like I want to do something. So I'm thinking I might just like show up at my boyfriend's job and like flex on them girls for a little bit, just for a second, so they know what kind of competition they got. Okay. But today is a very special video because it is one of my first story times. When I say one of my first, I did do like I think a few story times when I first started this channel, but I wasn't like super serious about my channel. I was a little nonchalant about it, so I see this as me actually taking this seriously now, so I count this as my first story time. So today I'm gonna be telling you guys about the time I was working at a hotel and this guy was hitting on me, and his wife was actually staying at the hotel with him. Now I'm not going to say the hotel name for sake of privacy, but I feel like I speak for a lot of oh god, what do you call them? I'll just say front desk agents. I speak for a lot of front desk agents as women when I say that like you get a lot of creepsters or guys that like just try and hit on you, especially at night. Now this was no strange thing to me because I had worked at this hotel for almost a year, and around this time this guy, like by the time this guy had came, I was used to creeps, you know? But there were a few creeps that like really stood out, like, you know. And you know what, one thing I don't understand, this was before I was dating my boyfriend, why is it that the guys that you want to ask you out don't, but then the creepsters be all up in your face like, ooh, so you come into my room later? Excuse me? No, I'm not coming to you. Who are you? But like this guy, he stood out in the worst of ways. So, you know, I'm just sitting there, you know, doing my frontly desk duties, la 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 la. And you know, this guy, he had already been checked in, but he came down to the front desk for something. I can't remember what he came down for. A lot of times it would be like, say for instance, for them to ask for like extra towels or something like that, or to ask a question about their bill. You know, this is just, you know, everyday Tuesday run-of-the-mill stuff, you know. He comes down and he starts asking me whatever question he has to ask. No, I'm sorry, that's a different guy. This guy, he comes down, right? I'm sitting because like when I worked the night shift, and the night shift was like super slow. So on the daily, like at the most you'd get check-ins, but you wouldn't really get too many people coming up to the front desk about anything unless there was like a problem, like say the internet was out or something like that. So I'm sitting off where he can't see me, but we do have cameras aimed at the front desk, so when a person is coming, you can get up and go greet them, right? I see the guy on the camera, I get up and I go to the front desk, and immediately, as soon as I turn the corner, he's like, oh wow, how you doing? So he proceeds to be like, ooh, like, what's your name? And I'm like, my name's Ariel, how are you? He's like, oh, I'm good, how are you? How are you? And at this point, I'm already like mildly uncomfortable because I already knew that he's gonna try and hit on me. And we have a strict policy. I don't know if like all hotels are like this, but most establishments have that like rule of no fraternizing with the guests. Like when I worked at Disney, they had a rule that, if I'm not mistaken, it was kind of like no fraternizing with the guests. And then also on another end, they had a rule saying like, if you were attracted to another cast member and you ask them out and they say no, that's it. You can't ask them out again. Otherwise it's seen as sexual harassment. Maybe somewhere along the lines I'll make a video about like my time at Disney. I spent 2.5 years there. Absolutely loved it. There were some things though, but right now we're not gonna talk about that. But the point is that most establishments have like rules about this stuff. Now mind you, I wasn't attracted to this guy anyway, but you know, but my way of like getting out of it was always to use the policy. Oh, I'm sorry, our hotel policy is no fraternizing with the guests. But you know, he's all like, oh, I like that natural hair thing you got going on. And I'm like, thanks. Can I help you with something? And so he proceeds to tell me that like I can help him by giving him my number and like letting him take me out or whatever. And then I hit him with the, I'm sorry, but hotel policy is no fraternizing with the guests. And so I don't know how he kind of like averted that, but you know, they always try to find like that loophole, like, oh, I can keep a secret. And like my biggest thing when like guys say that, when they're like, I can keep a secret, I'll be like, well, I can't, so no thank you. Somehow we get on the topic again of how beautiful I am. And so he starts telling me the things that he would do to me. He was like, yeah, I love that hair. I would love to just like pull on it from the back. And I was like, excuse me? So at this point, it's getting mad sexual. And I'm getting a little uncomfortable. But like, you know, I'm starting to get uncomfortable. And I'm like, excuse me? And he's like, oh yeah, and like your lips look so soft. And he's like, you know, I'm getting disgusted again just thinking about it. But anyway, he's like, you know, your voice is so cute, like it would sound amazing like screaming my name. And I'm like, Remember, Ariel, Jesus is against murder. Then he proceeds to pretty much say like, you know, like I really want to take you out, like da da da. And I was like, I'm flattered, honestly, but you know, right now I'm working, I'm going to school full time. I'm really just trying to stay focused on school. I don't need any distractions. And then he says, oh, I'm not, you know, I wouldn't distract you, you know, I wouldn't, you know, only thing I'm gonna have you thinking about is this D. And once again, I'm like, Ekumi? So he just continues, and at this point, I'm about to pop. I was like, you know, even if that policy wasn't in place, I wouldn't go out with you anyway. And he's like, well, why not? I'm like, you know, I am a lady. You do not talk to a lady like that. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, you know, I didn't talk to you any kind of way. And I was like, saying that I wouldn't be worried about anything. Only thing you'd have me thinking about is your D. And he's like, I meant that diploma. And I was like, yeah, Did it just randomly get lighter? Maybe it's because I'm really close to the camera. That is weird. That is so weird. But, you know, I proceed to tell him, like, you know, I'm a lady. You don't speak to me like that. And he's like, oh, you know, I'm sorry, you know, I didn't mean anything. Like, I didn't mean anything by it. Like, I wasn't serious or anything. And I was like, And so, literally, he's like, literally, this is exactly how this next part, like, unfolded. Not even joking. So he's like, oh, you know, I was just joking. I didn't really want your number or, like, to take you out or anything. He's like, I have a wife. I'm married. And literally, immediately after he says that, the elevator dings and out comes his wife. He, like, turns around and looks back and he's scared. And me, I'm sitting here like, dude, I'm about to burst your balls. So he's like, you know, please don't tell my wife, like, I was just joking, like, da-da-da-da. And the person in me was like, you know what? I'm not gonna tell her. But I'm not telling her for you. I'm like, I'm not telling her because I'm not gonna be the one to ruin your marriage. And, like, after I say that, like, his wife, she actually, like, walks out of the elevator. She's, like, with a friend or something like that, and they're talking, and she comes up to the desk, and she's like, she looks at him, and she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, nothing, like, I just came down here, like, ask a couple questions or whatever. And then she shoots me this look that's kind of like, I'm like, honey, I don't want your man. But, like, after he tells her, like, oh, I just came down to ask some questions or whatever, she was like, I got the feeling that she already knew what was up. Oh, and I totally forgot to mention this, but while he was trying to woo me or whatever ish he was trying to do, he was all like, oh, you know, like, I'm a ball player, like, you know, he's like, oh, you're in school? Oh, okay. He's like, you know, I play football, like, you know, I make X amount of money. And he's like, I don't even have to do anything and I still make money. He's like, I just sit at home, watch TV, and I make money. And I think he was saying something like he didn't even, like, finish college or something like that. And I was like, well, that's good for you, honey, but I want to be an English professor, so that requires me to get a bachelor's, so I don't have time to just sit around. Is how much money you make supposed to impress me? Is the fact that you're lazy and just do nothing but spend your money all day supposed to impress me? Honey, it do not. It do not. And going back to and going back to that night where, you know, that married guy was hitting on me or whatever, I feel like his wife knew, because, like, I don't know, just like the way she was reacting was kind of like, okay, I know you, kind of like, oh my god. It was just kind of like, oh, okay, like, I know you're off doing dirty again, like, da-da-da-da. Like, the vibe that I got from her, I could be completely wrong, was that she knew he was no good. And I don't need to tell you that your man is no good, because you more than likely already know that he's no good. So I knew that his wife had to have known what kind of guy he was, because it's just way too obvious. And as a bonus side story, I'll tell you about another guy that hit on me. It was kind of actually weird. So this guy in particular, he'd been staying at our hotel for a while, and there's not like a whole lot to tell about him, but he was a solid like 10, no, I was what? I'm 23 now. Oh my god, I'm 23. I'm 23 now. I want to say 21, 20, wait, what's it, 2018? About 2 years ago? Yeah, so we'll say 21. He was a solid 43. Yeah, I could be like a little off by a few years, but he was the same age as my parents. So yeah. So this guy, he comes up to the front desk to to ask a question. He, like while we're having this conversation, he's just like, you know, you're so beautiful, and like I would love to like take you out or whatever. And he's like, you know, how old are you? And I was like, oh, you know, I'm 21, I'm in college. And he's like, okay, well, I'm like 43 or whatever. And I was like, oh, you're the same age as my mom. That's like my way of telling you, no, honey, no. He's just like, oh, well, you know, I know there's an age difference, but I don't let age stop me from what I want. If I want something, like, I go after it. So he gives me his business card, and don't get me wrong, he was sweet man. I appreciated it, but I was just kind of like, oh, this is just something that like turns me off to men who are okay with dating a woman who they're 2 times older than them. There's just something wrong with that. If you're dating or married to someone that's 2 times your age, that's fine. Like, I mean, do you, boo? This 2018. But for me, I'm just kind of like, we're in 2 different stages of our lives. Like, what could we possibly have to talk about? Like, you already have your own business or whatever. I'm still in school. Like, there are some things that I may want to talk to you about that you may think or see as immature. You know, it's just, I'd rather have a partner who's at least somewhere in the same part of life as me. So certain experiences I can share with them and they can understand, versus it being seen as something I went through years and years and years ago, and something that's a little childish. Because when you become like an adult, certain things you look at, you know, you look as childish because you've already passed that point in your life. You know, he gave me his business card, wrote his number down. I already told him about the policy. I hit him with the policy, and I told him, you know, I wasn't really like interested or whatever. And he's like, oh, you know, if you change your mind, like, I would love to take you out on a date. Like, he was really sweet. He was really sweet, don't get me wrong. But he was old AF. Don't get me wrong, I don't think that 40-year-olds are like old. I'm not all like, ew, you're old. The only time I ever think that is if you're trying to hit on me and I'm in my 20s. You're old, dude. Stop it. I mean, I've had older guys hit on me, like 60, 70, but they're like, those kind of guys are kind of like the flirtatious ones that don't really want anything out of it because they already know, they recognize that age gap. They just compliment you like crazy and tell you if they were your age, like they'd take you out. But, you know, they just keep it rolling. Oh my God, speaking of that, I had a teacher that hit on me once and he was old. Leave a comment down below if you want me to make a video about that. But for right now, we're gonna stick to hotel stories. So this guy comes back around a second time and he's like about to check out. I think it's like he only has like 2 or 3 days left. And he's like, you know, I just want to know like if you changed your mind or whatever. And I'm like, I'm sorry. It wasn't an excuse. At the time, I really was trying to be like completely focused on school. Like, I didn't want any type of relationships, any distractions. Like, my friendships were like romantic relationships. I didn't need an actual romantic relationship on top of that. So I was like, you know, I'm really trying to focus on school. I just can't do a relationship right now. And policy does state no fraternizing with the guests. And, you know, he's like, oh, I'd be worth it. And I was like, you know, no offense, but no man is worth me losing my job over. And so he's like, okay, you know, I respect that. Like, have a nice day. And I never saw him again. Last story, I swear. See, you're getting 3 in 1. Oh my goodness. But this story isn't about someone hitting on me. It's about my semi-racist experience. So apparently, I don't talk like a black person. I don't know what that means. If you're black, can you not like have proper grammar? Is that not a thing for black people? Like, I don't understand. I never understood that question, or that statement, I should say. Even when people would tell me like, you don't have stereotypical black features, I could understand that because we're talking about the stereotype here, the big nose, the big lips, da da da. That's still a little, you probably shouldn't say that. But that I understand, because they're just like, you're nothing like the stereotype, which is awesome. And I'm like, you know, thanks. I try not to be anything like the stereotype. And in my experience, most Black people aren't like the stereotypes. So, again, I'm at the front desk. I get a call from a room, and she's basically like, so she calls about the internet or something, right? Like it's out, and you know, it's not working. And I apologize to her. I let her know that I'm, you know, currently speaking with technical support, and we're gonna try and get the situation resolved, because it is a hotel-wide issue. It's not just like your room or anything like that. And so she's like, okay, cool. So then she asks about the she asked me about like the laundry room and how late that was open and da da da. And so as I'm explaining to her the laundry room question, the statement, whatever, she says to me, "Are you Black?" And I was like, "Yes, ma'am, I am." And so she says, "Why are you talking like that?" Confused. I'm like, talking like what? And literally, this is what she goes immediately after I say talking like what. She's like, "Okay, so you said the laundry room's open till like blah blah blah." And I was like, "Yes, ma'am." She hung up. The entirety of my shift, I was trying to figure out, do I talk some kind of way? How do I talk? I was really confused. So I texted my friends. I asked them, I'm like, you know, do I talk some kind of way? Like, is there something I don't know about? So we're all trying to figure out what I talk like to be asked that question. Fast forward to my second interaction with this lady. Again, she calls. She says like, "Oh, hey, you know, my son, he like threw up on these like sheets and stuff like that. I would love to get some new ones. What do I need to do?" Because I don't just want to like hand them to you. And I was like, you know, thank you. Like, I really appreciate it. Most guests won't even like tell you. They'll just hand it to you. So I really appreciate that. So I told her, you know, okay, well, if you could just take the sheets, take the towels, and just toss them in a bag. I can give you a bag if you need one. But you just toss them in a bag, and you know, you hand them to me, and I can give you clean ones. And so after that, she mocks me. She goes, "Yeah, I'll just throw them in a bag. I'll throw them in a bag for you." You wanna know how I knew she was mocking me? Because one, she said bag exactly how I say it. Apparently I say bag weird. Bag. Like, apparently I say bag weird. And she lightened her voice. Like, mind you, she had kind of like, her voice was similar to mine, but lower, like noticeably lower. It wasn't like deep, but it was just lower. Me personally, when I'm dealing with like customer service or something like that, I think that just happens to everybody naturally. Your voice, my voice gets a little bit lighter, or higher, I should say. And so she heightened her voice and mocked me, mocked the way I said bag. So I was like, that's racist. It was like my whole interaction with her that just made me feel like it was racist. From asking me why I talk like that because I'm Black, like apparently I shouldn't talk the way I'm talking, to telling me, to mocking me when I'm speaking to her. And then here's the kicker. When she came out of her room and came to the front desk, she was Black. So I didn't understand like what the problem was. I don't know if maybe she felt like because I was Black that I should act and talk like her, which she also just talked normal like any other person. But I guess the way I talked wasn't good enough for her, so she felt the need to tell me that. Side note, this lady was kind of like troublesome. Like she wasn't like loud and ghetto, but she was like how do I describe it? She was like the type of person to make trouble just for the sake of making trouble. Like there could be nothing wrong, but like for instance, there was this one guy who was at the desk and he said hi to like her son or whatever, and she's like, you know, I don't want you talking to my son. And he's like, wow, okay, I just wanted to say hi to him. And she's like, well, I'm his mother, and as his mother, you need to respect my wishes not to speak to my child, and walks away. Side note, that guy was black too. So maybe she was just like racist against black people, because black people being racist against black people is a thing. You can fight me on that. But I don't know, but she's just all kinds of annoying. She's probably like that woman that like will go and complain to Denny's because like her pancakes weren't exactly circular. They were like an oval shape and they're supposed to be circular because pancakes are supposed to look like circles. Or like to give a business 1 star on Yelp because like she ordered an alcoholic beverage and they asked for her ID. Like that kind of woman, you know? But alas, story time has ended. And those are some of the experiences that I had while I was working at a hotel that were just like, okay. So we doing that now? I have so many more experiences that I could touch on. If you guys want to hear more about the hotel or more about my sad romantic story times, just leave a comment down below and let me know, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching, and your random fun fact for today is the oldest your mom joke was discovered on a 3,500-year-old Babylonian tablet. But don't try and hit me with those yo mama jokes, because I swear for M&M's, we gon' fight, fam. And that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to comment. I would love to hear from you guys. And remember, stay breezy. Bye.